On the face of it, there's nothing so unusual. A family on a holiday at the coast is memorialising the sunny day with a photograph. Dad waits for the right time as Mum brings their only child into the frame with the desired presents, as if introducing their pride and joy to a posterity of onlookers, all dressed up as if making her debut through the camera. It's a vignette from yesteryear, when photography was so much more formal, with period clothing and some suggestion that this family is already antiquated, even in the 1960s or 70s, from which the costumes date. But these lithe and svelte bodies don't belong to the ageing heads. Such a delicate posture, and then there's the shock of the wrinkles and bulbous noses and puffy features and hoary blonde hair that they share. Yet nothing prepares you for the shock of the toddler child, who also has the same senescence. She must be about 2, and she's already old, just like her parents. How extremely odd. What possessed Polixeni to create this series called The Dreamkeepers, with its burlesque exaggerations, as if the characters are 19th century political caricatures, or either oblivious or proud of their congenital abnormalities. Families do sometimes strike you as a bit odd in their sort of physiognomic resemblance, and in their private solidarity and closed behaviours that their odd look seems to symbolise. They belong to one another, and you never quite fit, and possibly wouldn't want to, because they don't fit either. They're somehow alien and grotesque and best left to their own. And that's how the protagonists of the Dreamkeepers seem to want it. They're not socialised or looking for a chat. They have their own reclusive life, and it's enough. To have rapport with you and me is outside their business and beyond their world. They're in their own world, in the same way that the dream is completely autonomous, beyond anyone's control, in the unconscious. They live in the unconscious. I wonder how much Polixeni identified with her private demographic that she discovered. They're harmless, a bit lovable, not pompous in their certainty of their fixed ways. They're too highly programmed to be casual, but not self-conscious enough to be comic. The Dreamkeepers are ascetics in a hermitage of their own, deep in the spectrum, set in their ways, their routines. They don't actively resist conformity. They're just unaware of new expectations that might result in a more fashionable conformity. The Dreamkeepers know nothing of globalisation, trends, marketing, social media. They have no competitive feelings, no jealous need to keep up and show off or strive or excel to do better than you. They're free of all materialistic hunger, all greed, all ambition, all attachments. They keep alive the long-forgotten dream that we don't need all that competitive stuff. In hideaways, grottos, abandoned places, these unlikely people, oddball, hobbit-like specimens, eke out their lives of integrity in dreamy isolation. Their life as malformed ingénus might symbolise the lost innocent part of ourselves in their naive existence outside the opinion of others, off the grid, existentially emancipated from all social pressure. They're free to be themselves as existentially self-sufficient. Any news bulletin would be largely incomprehensible to them. They're old young folk at the end of the earth, at the end of an epoch, where many things that we consider most important no longer matter. The people in the Dreamkeepers are all tender, often walking somewhere, pausing in some habitual job, as with the lantern keeper, such a snug hermit in his woolen dressing gown. I suppose that the dream itself is delicate, and its custodians, if that's the allegory, are gentle people. There's no bullish element in their nature, even if the landscape is a bit inclement and the winds on the cliff blow and buffet the balloons, because they're still fragile things that manage to hold on for the duration. And sometimes I think it's just the eye blink of the camera's shutter. In this touching series, Polixeni returned to the motif of the camera with the photographer, who this time is female. The blithe artist has come to an adorable field in the mallee where the flowers miraculously match her gingham dress. It would be such an ephemeral moment, and of course she hopes to capture its charm in perpetuity with the camera. The camera is a kind of dreamkeeper in itself, preserving the record of the most transient circumstances. But in the end, the dreamkeepers are not literally the keepers of dreams, but rather the curators of their own integrity as loners, as the weavers of their own protected attributes, their contented insularity, their steadfast dedication to their habits. It's all outside your experience because it's theirs alone. And yet, because their reality is pitched at such an aesthetic level, the vision stretches happily from the closed to the cultured. We enter the dream as a story, not an ambition. What seems odd is also somehow normal, and you end up wishing that our normality could accommodate more of their oddness.